another woman.
Like having your menstrual, they were wondering, will you be celebrating Holy Communion?
First, they will look at you and, with that look, like, will she really be able to perform?
I reported in January, and I was due to get my baby in February.
What it meant to be a minister in those days.
Society being society, society has very good people and society has very bad people. Depending on who you focus on, there are people who, when I said, in fact, there's one person I met somewhere and they could not understand why I even wanted to be a minister. So it was not in their understanding of why someone like me would want to be a minister. And they even kept on questioning. In fact, I met people who would question why a female would want to be a minister, someone with a disability would want to be a minister. I was asked all manner of questions, why I would want to be a minister. And technically, in as much as I have accepted this and I've chosen this, the call came from God. That's one thing I would even tell them. It's not for me to choose. I didn't even choose to serve in this presbytery. God in his own way brought this about and sends us to places we may not even choose.
There are challenges in ministry for everyone. Every minister, whether male or female, faces challenges because, of course, the battle we are involved in is quite spiritual. It's against powers and everything else, and so it's already a battle. And so there are challenges that come with that, helping people to get liberation, setting God's people free, empowering people. Of course, you come through some, you come through some resistance. You come across resistance from different circles. But I would say that there are times where you sense at a personal level that the way maybe you're being treated, nobody will tell you, they're not written rules, but you find like maybe people's first impression when they see you or when you go to them or when you're sent to them, they already have maybe some preconceived ideas. But then over time, you see that changing. Over the time, people are able to overcome that.
Of course, there's that perception that, oh, she's a woman. I remember one time I had gone to, I think it was at the airport, we were escorting somebody, and then somebody saw me, a lady at the front office, she saw me with a collar. Then she asked me, Madam, you are a pastor? I said, yes. Then imagine she asked me that you didn't have any other work to do. Can you imagine? To her, this is not my work. It is work for other people. I told her, no, in fact, I resigned from another profession to join the ministry. Of course, even when you go to a parish, especially my first parish, remember I am a young girl and now not married, and here you have a CAC session of older men. First, they will look at you and, with that look, like, will she really be able to perform? But you see, God equips us even when people look at you and they feel that you're inadequate.
When we started there, people would say, my child will not be baptized by a woman. And if that's a woman saying that, and I'm like, okay, you have somebody else who can baptize your child? Call them, they'll baptize your child. I can't eat Holy Communion being served by a woman. It's not my Holy Communion. If you want to take, take. If you don't, you don't. But it is not mine, it belongs to God. This is the body of Christ, this is the blood of Christ, it's not mine.
Being a new minister and wanting to please everyone, I found myself overdoing some things. Sometimes I would overstay in the college at the expense of my family. And sometimes I would also feel like, I would also feel guilty that I'm not giving my family the time that they required. But along the way, I was able to learn how to balance time for the family, time for ministry, and even time for myself. And as a woman, the journey has been tough. In many situations, women are looked down upon. I remember one time I was to go for a funeral at Murang'a, and this was a mother to one of my colleagues in the school. And in the community where I was to officiate the burial, it was our Corino community. And the sons of this lady, the one who had passed away, were our Corino. And I remember there was a lot of resistance, even some saying that their mother will not be buried by another woman. But with the grace of God, we were able to bury the lady, and we were able even to talk to the sons so that they accept that God can be served by all of us. And that is just an example of many other challenges along the way.
The challenge that I had was with the church, because I got married in this place in April. I'm posted in the same place in October to report in January. I tried negotiating that, I just got married in this place. It will be difficult working with my in-laws by the church. They did not listen to that. I was told they did not know that I was married there, so I would just have to report there. I tried to request that they change and go to a different place. They said no, and I reported in January. I reported in January, and I was due to get my baby in February. So you can now see me there, very expectant in my congregation of 45 elders, who are all men, 5 only were women. And I remember the 5 women sometimes would get very concerned about, she's getting tired. You'd see that they are getting, but the men elders, we will put the program and we'll go for the program. And remember one day I had 25 children to baptize. At the 10th child, the women were like, no, can see first of all get some rest. Of course, the grace of God was very sufficient. I did not rest, but I finished my journey of baptizing my 25 children. Carrying those babies, and I have this other one, was not a simple thing.
Many challenges are there. One thing, being a woman, being single, and anytime you are posted somewhere, the elders look at you. By then I didn't have this meat that I'm having today. I was a small-bodied girl, and you're and you're taken, and one of the elders looks at you and tell you, you are my, when I look at you, I see you like my seventh. One told me, when I went to report to my parish, the elder who received me told me, you know what? You are my 6th child. What does that tell you? There's nothing new you're coming to tell me. You are my child. And again, when they look at you, they were looking at you as a woman now, and all the challenges of a woman, like having your menstrual. They were wondering, will you be celebrating Holy Communion? How will you deal with it? And you know, all those things they were there, but the worst was also that they couldn't really accept you because they look at you from that angle. Who are you? And again, when they see you and you're a single person, it's like you don't require all the necessities that a married person has. So you are denied some of the necessities just because you are single. Like you don't qualify for this or for that.
Yeah, that happens in many cases. I talked of, I don't know whether I mentioned, one of the challenges that I've encountered is that sometimes women are addressed in most cases based on their gender, and I don't know whether I would call it gender, but I would want to say that what would I call it? I don't know whether they are seen more as sexual beings. Women are seen more as sexual beings, and you know that has its own challenges because women now begin to be evaluated based on their beauty, based on their family status, based on their age, to the extent that if you are young, you know, single, and a minister, it's like there's a challenge in itself. And sometimes people begin to think like you need a man in your life. So in actual fact, people first of all see you first as a woman, then secondly now as a minister.
But I used to pray to God and tell me, when the right time comes, give me the right person. Because you never fail, give me the right person. You know, and now that challenge that you are single, it also is a challenge with men because they think you are available to them. Everybody wants to associate with you and to relate with you because they cannot understand as a woman, you cannot stay without a man. You know, and so when I'm seen with a man, they'll think that is the man I'm dating.
It inhibits because, you know, where people do not appreciate the leadership of a woman, then it basically means that they will not give you equal opportunities like they would give a male minister. They may not necessarily involve you in places where it will be so obvious for a male minister to be, you know, to be involved. You know, in terms of success, they will be looking at you like a, you know, a lesser minister, you know, in comparison to the male minister, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I remember one time we had gone to Mombasa, the ministers, and we happened to go to Maridi, and I was the one who was in charge of I was in the committee that was organizing. We had gone earlier to prepare, and when we went to Marindi, we had to supply the lunch to the others. And after giving lunch, we sat down. I took out my reso, I read on them in sand, and we sat down. There was two men that shared the reso with me, and others were just in front of us. And people complained, why are you sitting in a reso with a man? And then they came up with an idea that is her boyfriend. So when we came back, the issue came up that she's afraid to so and so. I don't want to mention the name. And I was to be interviewed for further studies. And I was disqualified because of that. Because when they came for the interview, and I told them, can you tell me who it is? You said we came in the same bus with that person? Yes. We went down the same bus with that person? Yes. I asked the officers of the General Assembly, do you remember I went before you in Mombasa? They said yes. And I came again back and boarded the same bus with that man? They couldn't answer. Do you remember when you were saying we sat on the same reso? Were you not with me? What did we do? I just called them to call me with the people who said that and call me and that man and whoever, but they refused. They completely refused.
Now, the greatest challenge was that there were some people who are wondering, what is Esther after? She has her first degree. Why is she coming to church? Is she looking for greener pastures? Those were some of the challenges I faced. Yes, how can a graduate teacher come to look for maybe to be ordained.
I remember when I got my third born, because that was the first, I was already married with 2 children. By the time I was going to school, I got my third born, and we were starting exams about 2 weeks after the birth of my third born. And you can imagine I had to leave the home. I would do it in the evening, and my husband would have to rush, take care of the baby, and then here I would go. It was not good. And then you would have to brave the evening traffic going back home.
Let me thank my family, because right from the beginning, they have been very supportive, especially my husband. When I was in college, I remember he had to take up the whole role of going to see the children in school, and sometimes when I'm not at home, he would take up even my roles in the house, preparing the children, taking them to school, preparing meals for them, and even doing some other duties that I was supposed to do, and roles that actually should be taken by a woman in the house. And then also, my children were also very supportive, especially when it was visiting time. You know, in high school, those visiting time. And sometimes mom is not there. And they would understand and send dad with the greetings. And I feel this was an act of God. God helping them to understand that we are in this ministry together. I cannot deny that there are times when they would feel that I'm not giving them enough attention, but those were rare occasions.
What I would say is that challenges are there, and sincerely speaking, they are diverse. There are those challenges that men deal with, there are those challenges that women deal with. I think what matters is the attitude. How do you face every challenge that you come across? And we may look at challenges in terms of the journey, but even right where we are seated, ourselves landing here this morning or this hour was a challenge. So you just have to fight and go through the situation and have the right attitude. There are challenges, but I wouldn't really say this particular one, but you can agree with me that there are life struggles and challenges that we face every other time. I must say that I am married, I'm a mother of 3, and ministry and family is something that calls for a balance. So if we would talk about challenges, maybe I would say how you struggle balancing between family, ministry, and your personal life. It is a challenge, but I believe even our men, they struggle the same way. So, but God is good because He has called us to serve, and it's actually about God, not about us. Mine has been to just allow God to lead me and to help me, and I'm happy to be serving.
I think the greatest challenge came from my family. Actually, the society did not give me any challenge, but my greatest challenge came from my family. Much as we come from a Christian family, I think nobody ever thought of having a woman minister. Even my sisters were shocked. My husband had the shocker of his life because, well, we had not talked about ministry. We had talked about so many other things, but it was a bit of a shocker. It took him a bit of time, and I could understand. You have plans with somebody, plans for business and all that thing, and then suddenly I have just decided I'm dropping everything and going to full-time ministry. So, but over time, because I would say maybe of God, yes, let me just say that something that is born of God always wins. Over time, they turned around, all of them. Even my parents, when I got the call after I talked to my husband, even if he was a bit, the good thing is that he really wanted to support me, even if he wouldn't understand what is this, why do you need to go to full-time ministry? Why can't you serve where you're serving? He was ready to support me. When I went to talk to my parents, even them, my father is still alive, my mom passed on last year, but even my dad was like, you can see his reservation. As a lady, he would rather I be somewhere else. He was already a church elder, but I think it is the issue of having a lady minister, because even today, you still have issues. Even you go to church and people are gawking at you like this, because it hasn't registered into them that you are their minister. Even when I talked to the people who supported me, like my grandmother, she could not understand. So my closest family members are actually the one who had issues with my ministry, but very fast, because they are Christians, they were all able to jump into that bandwagon. My husband was ready to support me. I did not have a job. Remember, I had resigned the job from 2009 at the beginning of the year. So I didn't have a job, I didn't have money, but he supported me through and through, paid for my school fees all through, even with a bit of not understanding, but like, if my wife wants to go through this, then I will do that. The fact that they didn't understand did not mean they didn't support.
The perception that, oh, this is a young girl, and she has been given a whole parish with 6 congregations. So I remember one time the very first time I went to that CAC session, you see the men looking at you, especially the older men. But at least the younger men, they were able to embrace me. But the other ones, they had that attitude of let's wait and see. But I thank God that that parish was able to move to, greater heights, slowly by slowly, and even God helping me be able to display my strengths and my gifts. And then okay, she can. And then we started working together. So yes, there's that she's a woman and like that. That is there. But it also depends with you as a person. How do you, portray yourself? Do you look like a weakling? Or do you also portray yourself as somebody who is able?
I thank God, because even with these challenges, God has been able to give me sufficient grace. He has helped me to grow, and He has helped me to realize that He's the one who called me to this ministry, and I have to serve Him. And He called me knowing that I am a woman.
So whether society likes it or not, I have to serve where the Lord has sent me. So yeah, some people have been very supportive, strangers and people known to me. Some people have just been the opposite. And I've realized such people will always be there. So my work is not to focus on them. My work is, regardless of the hurdles, regardless of the challenges, can I make something good? Will my Lord say to me, well done, good and faithful servant, I sent you to reach out. You did that in the way that I enabled you to. So society has not been an issue. I always expect opposition. I don't expect to be embraced by everyone. In fact, if everyone was to embrace me, that would not even be real. Not when people have brains that work. Everyone will have their own idea.
That image that they have, those preconceived ideas that they have. Because as you continue serving God's people and serving well, then the gender thing, the gender tag kind of is minimized and people get to see a minister. So yes, and especially at the beginning of my ministry, I did suffer from being treated as a young woman, a young clergy. So that generational kind of discrimination, but also gender discrimination. But I don't feel that so much now that I've also grown up, or I'm also of age. I think it's still there sometimes, but you wouldn't feel it so much. Yes, but I've had those moments.
When your call is genuine, and it is God who truly has called you, He empowers you. You don't look at those issues and they pull you behind. No. And again, being a prayerful woman and having a strong support from your family, and you have friends that are praying for you, you won't fail. No. I can say that it has been God. Yeah, it has been God.
Wow, the future is bright. There's a lot of hope. And I want to thank the Lord. The church has appreciated our ministry. Women are hardworking. Women are beautiful. We need to have that sense of feminism in the church, whereby even other women, and remember, most of the congregants are women, from Sunday school to the main sanctuary. That means even women need ministers to identify with, and even to feel encouraged, to feel they are part of them.
We are wired and we are gifted differently. There are some special things that God has given women, and where women have an upper hand on that. And there are things that men also bring into the ministry. And we talk of, you know, the table being full and the body being complete when all of us complement and serve together. And that's why we say that the church is not complete yet until everyone is on the table, men, women, children, youth, and even people who are abled differently. And so there are special things that women have brought into the ministry. I would say one of it is nurture. Women want to nurture. And so I've seen where women have been involved, that even gifts keep springing up and people don't feel intimidated. They're able to bring out their best because they feel they're being nurtured. So nurture is one of them. Sensitivity to even people's needs and affairs is a very special gift that I feel women bring to the ministry. Compassion is another one, and it goes with the sensitivity, that women are very conscious of what's happening in the society, and women tend to reach out and to touch people where it really matters, you know, those needs that people have they may look small, they may look negligible, but that's what matters so much. The gift of love, the gift of bringing people together. And I think women ministers have done very well. You know, clergy women have done very well, and it's clear, it's evident in the many parishes and departments and fields that we have women serving in the church. There's growth in many ways. There's growth. So that's a gift that women have brought into the ministry.
As you can see, even what is happening in our country. Remember the other time when we had an election, and the members from Nakuru, we saw many ladies occupying those seats. And what I want to say is that girl child has been empowered, and also we are praying the same to continue empowering boy child. So the future of the ministry is balancing everything, because I said we are all equal in the ministry of God. Both women and men, we don't need a special treat because we are ladies. So future is like those people whom God has called, be it men, be it women, all of them, they are equal to the task. Personally, is like when the panel, when the people who who sit down and interview them, when they hear vividly there is that calling, it's good to give them that opportunity to serve God. So in future, both men and women will continue serving God like the way we are serving.
I feel and I know that ladies can be as good as men. We are glad that even in the leadership of the country, we are seeing more women leaders this time round than ever before. Nakuru County was on a high, with the women that it brought into the national government and even the government, the government itself. So we are glad that I feel like we get to a point whereby we don't need affirmative action. And that is where we would want to get, because women are as good as any person. And once you understand that you can do it, then I feel there's no problem. Women can be as good leaders. For your point, Ida, it's good to tell you that it is unlikely that you hear a woman parish led by a woman minister is going down. Most of the time they're going up. Because you bring in everything. You are mothering, you are pastoral, you are you coerce, you push, you persuade. You bring everything into that work. So women ministers are doing better. I wouldn't say that I don't think there is a woman minister who is doing as badly. The same way, even in leadership position, given a chance, women would still do good and do better and do well. So they should be given a level playing ground. We are not asking for affirmative. I don't think it's right. A woman should be able to get there by her own ability.
In my thinking, the future is bright. Only that we need to identify the challenges that were and they have been elevated, so that we can identify the challenges that are there today so that we can forge forward. If that one happened, then it will be very good, because I remember for me to go for further studies, Reverend Dr. Nyambura Njoroge and the members of the Circle of African Women Theologians made sure that they brought the African women that were theologians, those that were doing something church. And I remember we had a beautiful moment as Presbyterian ministers. We had a 1 week moment with Nyambura and Phyllis Bird, and we were taken places. We were told many things about ministry, which encouraged us. Then there was the second Pan-African conference for the Circle of African Women Theologians. And when we went for that meeting, that time my baby was only 6 months. And they encouraged us, if you have a baby, come with her, come with him. But many women shined off. I was able to go with my baby and another one lady from Congo. And we met in a Methodist guest house. And for 1 week, we were given talks, empowerment messages, and I think that is what encouraged me to want to go further with my education. And from there, I went on. So I am thinking that with the kind of, especially with this celebration, many other women who maybe they got ordained and went they are signed and the other side, this moment is going to call so many others and encourage so many others that irrespective of the challenges of the way, there is so much that God has put ahead. And again, this calling is not our making. It is God that is going to make it what He really wants.
The fact that women got ordained in the Presbyterian Church of East Africa was a very courageous decision. There are churches even today that will never think, they will never even imagine that they can ordain women into priesthood. We were the pioneers in that matter. And our women have done very well in the ministry. If you look aloud at the many positions that they have been able to occupy as parish ministers, as presbytery clerks, as presbytery moderators, as members of the business committee, as one was also became the chair of a regional council, and also others have become secretaries of regional councils. That is a very good indicator of what is going to happen in the future.
Because if we have been moderators within the presbytery, we had been moderators in the chairs of the region. What else is remaining? You know, it's just only this one, and we are coming. There's a time there will be all of us here. There will be no man in that office. No.
We had a woman as a treasurer after the first General Assembly in 1956, but she was a missionary. She was not Kenyan-born woman. And since then, we haven't even had a treasurer who is a woman. I'm sure we have many who are qualified to hold that position. And we have many women in the ministry today who qualify. This is my belief. I don't know many of my sisters because I have worked outside the country. But I want to believe God did not pour us without leadership skills. So even at least a deputy, that should have happened by now. But even Secretary General and the moderator, I don't see why it hasn't happened.
Time now is right to have a woman, to be a representative, to bring those concerns, to bring that feeling. You know, there is a voice of a woman. There is a way women perceive things. Who is perceiving for us?
We are saying that 40 years marks a season, a complete cycle, a good season that ushers people in to newer levels and to other challenges and to other responsibilities. So I feel it is time that we also now reflect and think about the place of women now in leadership or in the boardroom, so to speak, because women have done it in the society, they've done it in the family, they've done it in the institutions, they've done it, but you still find we have some imbalance. We have some imbalance in that when you look even at the pew, we have like 80% of church attendees or attendants are women. But look at the leadership, there is an imbalance that we must admit. And so those are the things that now we need to engage on and look at. Having said that, we look back and appreciate that we have made some strides. We have women now who are presbytery moderators in the church, who are presbytery clerks, who are chairpersons of regions, and so women have come up well, but we long and we yearn for the time where the same will be reflected even at the highest level of the church, because women have come of age, I mean in terms of leadership growth and all that. So we've come a cycle, and I think the future is bright, I would say, because then if life starts at 40, then it has just begun for PCA. And so we expect good times. We expect to see women serving at top levels. And we have seen that happening in the country. We have seen bishops being consecrated who are women. We've seen internationally moderators who are women, you know, bishops at very high levels. And so PCA being the leader that she is, she's a trailblazer. So I believe in the PCA to deliver to the society and to give women the position that they need. And I said earlier that until everyone is at the table, then the body of Christ is not complete. And we are not enjoying the full benefits as the body of Christ when we have other people who are outside. So we need all of us to be at the table, men, women, children, youth, people who are able differently, all of us as a body.
The future to me is very bright, because with that evolution, with that growth, women will get more women into ordination, and who knows, They will continue occupying positions of honor, positions of service within this church because they have proved that they are equal. They have what it takes. Therefore, I see the future very bright in regard to what women will be doing in the Presbyterian Church of East Africa going forward.
Very, very soon. Maybe you only have two more terms. The other one will be a woman. Yes.
Looking at what is happening, even in the outside world, I would say it is time that women, women ministers are empowered, and they also should come out and vie for those offices. We may not be able to maybe get to the offices because of the votes. And at this level, I feel like women are still very few. But all the same, the hand of God is powerful. And God, when it is His timing, He will put a woman in that position.
I don't know how quickly we will get there, because you see, it's a process, and there's a voting process that also happens. But I would want to see someone there, because I know they are qualified. We are qualified. Of course, there are those things that are checked, like you have to be in the already ordained and serving for at least 10 years. So I'm not yet 10 years, and others. You have had to hold a position of moderator of the presbytery or clerk. Some have not yet held that position. So yeah, there are factors to consider, but even when someone has the qualifications, they may not be voted in. So that one I cannot say when, because yes, I can vote, but my vote alone may not mean much, but we can try. Let's try and see how far this will go. Even getting women ordained was a milestone. And I would say even in the PCA, the female ministers are seen to have made a lot of progress, maybe than others, though we are not comparing them, yes. So I don't know when, but I don't think it's anytime soon.
But I think numbers is not the big issue. It is the socialization that our church is highly socialized by our deep-rooted patriarchal culture. And as the much we deal with that, then the closer we get to that where we are all looking at. Why do I say that? Myself and a few others, our names have gone to that ballot, to that list. Twice my name has been selected for Deputy Secretary General, and once my name has been put there for Secretary General. One thing I remember very much that was very negative. I met with one of our colleagues and said, "Oh, your name is there. You are just but a flower girl in the game." So for me, this is not about name. It's not about numbers. It's about the socialization that a woman knows. Your name is there. It's not there because it is supposed to be there. It is there to carry the paper. But if our church is true to itself, the selection of those names should come with the criteria for which those names are put there. Not to show that there was a woman, but that this woman was qualifying for real. And even if you are qualifying, does not mean you become. Yes. So for me, I think that moment with the empowerment of women, it is possible, it is due, and for me, I should believe that it is nearer than we think. So I say, like she echoed, that time is now. Women are empowered and empowered enough, and it is possible.
I want to say it is unfortunate. We have even celebrated a century without a woman in those offices. And I want to say still the majority are women. And women don't have anything barring them according to our constitution. However, there are many things which we must get rid of, and we must conscientize the congregants, the clergy, the need of having a woman in that office. And I want to say soon than we may think, we'll be having a woman who represents the concerns of women in the executive. Yes, in the business committee, I know there are women, but at the topmost, where is the woman's voice? Who represents the woman? With that understanding, I know the church will give an opportunity to a woman. Of course, there are barriers. We have cultural barriers. We have some teachings we have. Maybe even the structure needs to be relooked at so that women can be given an opportunity. And when I talk of given an opportunity, it's because there are barriers. They may not be out there documented, but beneath there are barriers. Women qualify, women are educated, women have good leadership skills. So I can't wait to celebrate that woman who will be the moderator or the secretary general or the deputy or even the honorary treasurer.
When that time comes, no one will stop it. We might talk of many things, we might talk of weaknesses of many other people, but when that time comes, it will be ripe and we will have one, a moderator, we can have a secretary general, we can have a deputy secretary general, any or in that office. When that time comes, we will have one for sure. And we have had many others in other churches who have been given that opportunity and they have served. So why not us? Why not in the Presbyterian Church of East Africa? So it is doable, and I'm sure the Lord is preparing that time. And when that time comes, we will rejoice and celebrate.
I look forward to a future where limitations, and biases, stereotyping of women will not be an issue, not because we are women, but because we are God's servants. I also look forward to a future where we will have women nearly in all spaces. For example, when you talk about having many women professors, many women in the General Assembly, office. And when I talk of many women than men. Today we have only men in those offices. But I'm looking forward to a future where we will have many women than men, perhaps even all women and no man in that office. That's the future I am looking forward to.
Just want to say to all clergy women whom we are working in the same vineyard, the Presbyterian Church, clergy women, that they are blessed, and that let's continue supporting one another. And whenever we have a success of one of us, let's celebrate with that person. And if one of us has a challenge, let's give that person a shoulder to lean on.
You know what, God who called me, or God before me and prepared the way for me. But as long as God is there, I'm going there. Yeah. So if God has called you, truly God has called you, He will empower you to soar above all the difficulties that you find on the way.
who are coming into the ministry, the ready ministers, I would tell them 3 things. One, that it is God who called them, and they should serve God with a focus. They should serve God knowing that it is God who called them, even if there are so many barriers, so many challenges, culture and other challenges. God is ready to walk with them and to work with them. Then the other thing I would want to tell the lead ministers is that we are not competing with the men. We have our space in this ministry, a God-ordained space, and so we should work not in competition with anybody else, but in competition with the devil to preach the gospel so that men and women and even these young children will know God. Then the third thing is that as ready ministers, we should realize we are called and we have many other responsibilities. Those who have families, they have family responsibilities. The others who are also they don't have families, but they still have responsibilities as women. And we should not forget our other role as women, because it is part of the ministry.
There's nothing that is impossible. You can only limit yourself because God does not. There is nothing, don't be told, the Bible says in the book of Galatians, there is no Jew, there is no Gentile, there is no slave, there is no woman, there is no man. So those are just social, we are just social, they are social stratifications, but they don't matter before God. So once you have overcome the social stigmatization and the feeling that you have a place and a place in the society, you overcome the social, you can be anything. I would say that the only thing that a girl needs to be aware of is that ministry will never give you space for your family. You have to create it. Yeah. So you have to create time and decide, I'm going to do, because as a woman, socially, because you cannot overcome, you cannot escape from the social expectation of the society as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, because they are not going anywhere. Even as you become a minister with a collar, you must understand that you've got to create time for your family. When I get to my house here, I don't, my children don't know me as Reverend. No, they know me as Mama. And my husband, I'm his wife. There are expectations. So as a girl, go knowing that the society will not expect you to do any less because you're a minister. They will not expect you, oh, I'm late for the succession meeting because I had to attend to my child. Nobody expects that. So you have to look for a place for your family and take care of them. At the end of the day, even as you become a minister, you have to always have your family with you. So tell a girl who wants to take care of your family. A young woman, take care of your husband, if you have a husband, take care of your children, because after you've come from a very difficult day, you come home to your family. So when you take care of them, they also take care of you. And even if there may be sometimes that you're not able to do anything, you are late, you have to meetings from Monday to Sunday and the next week, when you have time, spend time with your family. I think that is the greatest distinction between a lady minister and a man minister. When men go out of their homes for days and weeks on end, nobody talks, nobody. But you, Lydia, I'm not in the house for 2 days. My children will call you, umepotea mom, umekuwa wapi, hatukuonangi, because they expect me to be here, even if to see me, and even if I am doing nothing.
One, I know the one who has called us is very faithful. For that person who has been called by God, imagine it will come to pass. It will, like God will make it to come to pass. So I think it calls for each and every one of us to seek God, to seek the will of God, and also motivate to align yourself, maybe in the ministry, to align yourself to the will of God, and also to continue seeking and also waiting. Personally, I would say waiting should be patient is one of the fruit of the Holy Spirit. So I think for you who have been called by God, even they that have been called by God in the Bible, there is a journey of transformation, of God molding them to be like who they want, whom God wants them to be. So there is a process and transition. So I would also urge them to be patient, to wait upon God, to seek the will of God, to align themselves in the purposes of God, and also to know that the one who has called them is very faithful. He's not like a man. He will never lie. At his appointed time, I keep on saying this, he will make everything beautiful.
My heart goes out to young people. And by the way, by default, I am a youth minister. By default, I love young people because of my experiences and my journey that I came through and the obstacles and the way I saw people holding my hand, mentoring me, and, you know, opening doors for me and letting me in. That has laid a burden in my heart. So my heart goes out to young people who don't have clarity yet of what they want to be, but they have a conviction inside. It's only that they are unable to express it. And especially when it comes to this kind of calling, where God is calling someone to serve in a certain ministry, a certain field, and they cannot be able to put it in words. My heart goes out to them, and I would like to tell them that their dreams, their calling is valid. And the Bible is full of examples of men and women who are called when they were very young. Actually, I think God calls many people when they are young. Look at the prophets and everyone else. They were called when they were young. So their dreams, their calling is valid. They should not give up. There are many stumbling blocks. There are many things to overcome, but they should just be consistent, because where there is a will, there is a way, and God is going to make way for them. Also, they should not struggle alone. There are men and women out there who are ready to hold their hands and to help them get the clarity that they need. So they should not struggle alone, die alone, feel discouraged alone. They should just rise up and move on and let other people also hold their hands. Seek counsel. Yeah, seek advice, and it shall be well.
I would tell them to be bold, you know, before people, because it is not always that you will be easily accepted and appreciated. So boldness is key. But I will also tell the women, you know, who desire to serve God, to be faithful to God, because He alone calls us to ministry. You know, He sustains us. You know, He makes and paves the way for us. I would also tell this woman in the ministry to serve with excellence. Excellence for me is very key. I would also talk of, you know, mentoring others so that we can also create our own lineage. The reason why we are celebrating 40 years today is because the women who have gone ahead of us created their own lineage. I would also tell this woman who wants to serve today that we need to stand in solidarity. You know, unity is key so that we can help, you know, enhance and reach each other's ministry, because all said and done, it's about God, not about us. I would also tell this woman in the ministry to think globally and act locally. You know, do not shy away from taking global and, you know, ecumenical positions and spaces just to serve God and to give it your best where God places you. Yes.
I just want to encourage them. I know sometimes there are so many questions in their minds. Sometimes even you're not sure whether this is the route that you're supposed to walk along. But I want to encourage them that if you hear the call, if you hear the Lord impressing it in you, just take the first step. Yes, we don't know what life holds for us. Even I, as a person, I didn't know what life holds for me. But every day the Lord unfolds His faithfulness. So I want to encourage whoever is feeling the call, let them join the ministry. Of course, there is a process that people go through, but whenever you don't suppress it, don't feel like you can't, because of course you can't by your own, but with God's help, it is doable.
What you need to have is the confidence that comes from God. And the moment you know that it is God calling you, don't fear, don't stagger. Remain on the right path and follow your call. At the same time, connect yourself with people who can support your dream or your desire. When you connect yourself with people who can support you, you'll finally get there. I know it is not easy to just say, I'm feeling called to become a minister. It is a challenge. But when you listen to God keenly, you will always know it is not people calling me, it is God. And so connecting yourself with the right people matters a lot. So there is hope, there is great hope. And to anyone who has such a call, we are more than willing to walk with you. And I know, just as other people walked with us, not only ladies, even male clergy, they supported us. We are ready and our hands are open to receive you and also to guide you through and through.
I also want to encourage women to join chaplaincy. Currently, I am chaplain at Kenyatta University. It's such a joy to mentor young men and women. They have a future. So let's treat chaplaincy as a good thing where we can reach the generation today and show them the need to fear the Lord, the need to walk with Christ. And finally, I want to say, it is a joy to have been called by the Lord. It is a joy to have an opportunity to serve. And I desire one day I shall dine with him eternally.
Especially with this celebration, many other women who like maybe they got ordained and went their side and the other side, this moment is going to like call so many others and encourage so many others that irrespective of the challenges on the way, there is so much that God has put ahead. And again, this calling is not our making. It is God that is going to make it what He really wants for each and every one of them and all of us.
Thank God for the ones who went on before, whether living or not, living on this side of eternity or not. And I know our story is not ending here. Someone else may come behind us, unless the Lord Jesus comes back to take His church home. So for me, it's, would I hold another's hand? Would I help another sister? Would I help another brother? Would I help someone else to just see? For me, the reason that even part of my call was honoring God and my whole life being a testimony. Sometimes I don't even have to preach. I just appear. And some people have told me I was feeling sorry for myself. And when I saw you, I thought, if you can serve the way you are, whatever the way you are means, I can serve in my own capacity. So for me, it has been, is this a challenge? Yes. Can I do something about it? Yes, let me do it. Can I do nothing about it? If I can't, is there a lesson or two I can draw from this?
For my fellow clergy women, and I thank God that over the years, despite the fact that the number is not as great as I would have wanted it to be after 40 years, God has continued to call women to ministry. And many have answered the call and have done their best to serve within the context that they are called. My message is that we need to continuously interrogate the scriptures, and particularly the Gospels, so that we can dismantle patriarchy. Because patriarchy is a very controlling and dominating structure. Sometimes I don't think men think how much they are affected by that control and domination. But certainly women are more affected by that nature of that structure. And the scriptures, especially the Gospels, the way Jesus has dealt with women in the Gospels is a great message for us women, that we should not look back, we should not be intimidated, we should not accept to be dominated and controlled, because Jesus has not made a mistake. By calling us, by giving us the message, Mary Magdalene and her sisters were sent to the brothers on the resurrection day to announce the good news.
I guess the future will be brighter for them. It will be far much easier for them, because already people have seen that women can make just like men. They can be ministers, they can be anything just because they are there. They have seen others, because I don't think now there's anybody who can say, I've never seen a woman minister. Not like when we were entering into the ministry.